6, I was molested by my mum's friend who was at the house a lot. So my mum was an alcoholic. And then... Sorry.
You don't be sorry.
Yeah, so that happened at 6. And then I was sent to Africa to learn discipline. And then I was sent back. 7, I started smoking. 8, I started dealing drugs.
Selling drugs?
Selling drugs, yeah. An older person told me that they wouldn't stop a kid on a bike, so I'd ride around with my football, and then underneath I'd have the drugs, and yeah. And so that was 8. 11, I was hung off a bridge.
By who?
A guy from the next estate, a man. And then, yeah, 12, I was adopted, so. And from then, it was like, I was adopted by an amazing family, like I said. I couldn't have asked for better people to do what they'd done for me as.
I don't know. I mean, Dele Alli for 2 or 3 years now has wasted everybody's time. His own, his employers, his teammates. He's gone from being a player that I always felt was overhyped. And look, I used to have debates with Gordon Strachan, and I'll bow to Gordon's knowledge every single day of the week, where Gordon talked to me about he was the best number 10 in Europe. Now, that may well have been, obviously a decent argument at the time when he was flying back in 2018, but he's a shadow of himself, and he's chosen this path. He's chosen this path to be on documentaries like All or Nothing, where you get to see a laughing, gurning idiot being told by his manager that he doesn't train very well. You get to see someone turning up at Everton on a move, which was a downward move in terms of there was no real fee involved. That was the valuation of him. When he turns up on a pitch looking like a refugee, as I said before, an escapee, better words, from Pirates of the Caribbean, without any seam of understanding of the fact he's going to play for one of the big Premier League clubs, and perhaps he should turn up looking like someone that respects the environment he's in, and then it manifests itself on the pitch. I've seen people like Carl Robinson, who is his manager at MK Dons, getting quite cross with the media underlying observation about Dele and his performances, but the fact of the matter is, this kid has taken 2 years of his life, for whatever reason, or even 3, flushed him down the toilet, can't even get a game when he's playing overseas, and is now back to Everton, which I don't know, Sean Dyche might get a tune out of him. Sean Dyche has the capacity to be able to get people facing the right way. He'll have a very different experience with Sean Dyche than maybe some of the other managers he's played with and for. My gut feel is he's done. He's done it certainly at a big club level. He's back to Everton by default because of the nature, I suspect, of the loan and the agreement that they've got in place and whatever's happened over where he was at Besiktas. But what a waste of time. What a waste of an opportunity. What a waste of talent. I never thought he was at the level that people built him up to, but he's a damn sight better than he is now. And maybe he can restart the engines. But it's been a long time for him to be in neutral or even in park. So for him to put it back in drive again, I don't know, I don't think so. And I just think that it's a tale of too much money for too little achievements and too many distractions. And they'll come and take their toll. And I think there'll come a point with Dele Alli where he'll look back and think, what an opportunity I missed. Maybe he'll grasp the nettle. I don't think so. I think his time is done.
Season.
I mean, it begs the question, what is the point, Simon? They bring him in there to add to bolster the ranks, and he's not
You don't know
featuring.
till you've got someone through the door.
Well, there's no reason for him not to be fit. May not be a reason for him to be match fit or sharp, but he's been there now for 2 months. He's a complete and utter waste of time. He was a waste of time at Tottenham for 2 years. He's been a waste of time being signed for Everton. It was a waste of time signing. I hope I'm wrong, because the boy was talented. I don't think he was ever at a level that people built him up to. All of a sudden, he was the best number 10 in the world, and people were making cases about what a wonderful player he was.
No,
I didn't think that either. No. But the point is now he's at a situation where he's been kicked out of Tottenham. The only reason Everton took him is because the actual fee itself was deferred and paid into the long grass based upon performance. Yeah. So based upon performance, probably Tottenham, Everton will get a rebate. Everton will get a rebate because they're doing it on a performance-related basis. Because how can you? I mean, the kid's got to be embarrassed. I mean, is there any level of professional pride? You've been booted out of Tottenham. 2 or 3 managers didn't want you. You know, you've seen Mourinho absolutely decimate your training rate. The way you approach training. So I would imagine he's probably replicating that at Everton. I think Frank Lampard should look at himself for wanting to sign players like Dele Alli because he needed help, not a compounding of the problem. Because if this kid has gone to Everton and he's in last chance saloon or getting close to it,
Exactly.
and this is the byproduct of it. There's no reason why he shouldn't be chomping at the bit. There's no reason he shouldn't be fit enough and competitive enough to go into that side, because that Everton side is poor. So to be out of it when the people in front of you, with a couple of exceptions, like the young kid that's in the side through merit who was on the bench yesterday, Dele Alli, you're looking at someone that's wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
Notably his own.
All I would say is that, because I've been there and done it in terms of being out of a team, I remember having a season at Tottenham where I was in the wilderness a little bit for various reasons. And personally, with me, it took, I know Dele, it's been a bit longer and he's had chances, so it's a little bit different, but so hard to get back to the top of your game when you don't have a run of games, run of 90 minutes, to just really, 3 or 4 games to find yourself and build your confidence at a new club.
But
really tough.
But they need him to.
No, I know, and it's a little bit different.
His back's to the wall, Danny.
But you go to a new club anyway, even if you're playing well before, and it sometimes takes you time to adapt. That's the only thing I can give him.
But he's had 2.5 years of being in the wilderness now. And I know this, people will say this is a moot point, but when you sashay on the pitch in a pair of jeans looking like you've climbed out of a dustbin as your representation of how you are a professional footballer playing for an arguably very big football club in England, it might give you an insight into the psyche of this kid and what's going on with him. Maybe less time on Boohoo and more time working on what is your core proposition of being an elite footballer.
Well, I agree with you when we spoke.
And you not do it yourself.
You have to, but you need some guidance.
But he made it about other things. He changed his agent from Rob Seagal to other people. He made it about other things. When I sat here when he went to Everton and said, what in Christ's name are Everton doing this for? He's not played for them. He's done precisely nothing. And he's going out to Turkey. This player's career is going one way, and I don't think he can get it back.
You think it's beyond it now?
I think once the pilot light goes out on a gas burner, sometimes you can't reignite it.
I don't think it's coming. I agree. But
they're also young men, and you've got to give them some latitude, because if you've got everybody around you, the football world have this propensity to build people up to levels that they're not at. Dele Alli was a really good player, but he was never at the level that people were saying he was at, right?
He had a couple of
and then he started to build into his own hype. And if you haven't got sensible voices, and a lot of football players don't have it, because what they have is people around them blowing smoke up their backsides, telling them how wonderful they are, whilst making money off them. And there's a real balance, and you can never tell players, you're the chairman, you're not interested in what I'm doing, you're only interested in getting the best interest for yourself. And then 5 years later, the same players will come back and say, actually, you did have my best interests at heart, and I do understand what you're saying. But you can't tell these kids this, because you're in a world where the media are writing all these headlines about how wonderful they are. He's getting endorsements from massive brands that are saying to him, we want to see you on billboards around the country. He's getting paid 50 to 100 grand a week. And what do? You
either believe it or you don't.
You need proper... I don't think he's got enough of a parental framework. I don't think his dad's involved in his life.
Dele Alli, is he on his way out, do you think? Way out of Tottenham? It would seem to be, because Dele Alli, I think, has been told by Antonio Conte, good luck, and he'll be made available for a move away from Tottenham next week. It seems he's on his way out. He could go on a permanent. It might be a loan, just like Jesse Lingard did last year. I mean, when it comes to risk and reward, what do you think, Simon? Is he worth the risk to a prospective buyer?
It depends what someone's got to pay for him. I mean, obviously, Daniel will want top dollar for Dele, because in the back of people's minds, they'll remember the player that he once was, not the player he currently is now. You can't just suggest that this is everybody else but Dele Alli. You can talk about the influence that Mourinho has, but you've got another manager to walk through the door that's got serious intent at Tottenham Hotspur, and he's, in his mind, if we're led to believe what's being said is the case, he's surplus to requirements. So with that in mind, where does it leave Dele Alli? But maybe he can stop advertising clothes and start getting on with the business of football and being good at what he was brought into Tottenham to do, because he's wasted 2 years of his life. He's wasted 3 years of life.
Yeah.
Look at the player that played in the 2018 World Cup and all that went with that, and look where he is now, earned by himself. Now, I was never in this camp that I was a huge admirer of him, but I used to do stuff with Gordon Strachan, and Gordon Strachan, I trust Gordon's judgment. He used to rave about him as a player. So I gave him a fresh set of eyes, and I can understand some of the observations.
Yeah.
And I went to watch him play a couple of times when Tottenham played Aston Villa in an FA Cup game, and I saw some of the ability he has on the ball.